Nationwide, coronavirus has sent the stock market plunging down from historic highs just a month ago. Economics professor John Rogers from American International College joined us in studio to talk about the long-term economic impact in the U.S. and beyond.
Well, I think this whole thing has really hit in the last week, obviously, and a lot of people sort of discounted the impact of it ahead of that, I think, including the president, quite frankly. But it's pretty serious, and I think it's going to have pretty massive short-term effects. I think long-term, it all depends on the progress of this virus, and if the virus runs its course, this idea of sort of flattening the curve that everybody's talking about so that the medical system is able to handle the cases that come in, I think the long-term outlook could actually be fine because you have low interest rates, which are good for the economy. Low oil prices aren't very good if you're in the oil business, but for the rest of the economy, it's almost like a tax cut. You pay less to drive to work and heat your home and generate energy. So there could be some positives over the long run, but it all depends now on the progress of this pandemic and what happens with that, whether it's under control and passes or whether it is something that's going to potentially, people are talking very frightening numbers. And there's been some discussion of the pandemic of 1918, which killed 675,000 people in this country, although I didn't realize that the H1N1 virus in 2009 killed something like 13,000 people. So these things are really nasty, and they have a real impact on the economy as a consequence. It all depends on how quickly they come under control.
You talked a little bit about the interest rates low. The Fed cut the interest rate over the weekend, and you would think that the stock market would react in a certain way. The stock market edged up a little bit on Friday after some news coming from the White House. Not the case with that cut. So what's going on there?
Well, I think it's come to the point where the Fed is kind of out of ammunition. I mean, if you bring interest rates to zero, you have nowhere further to go. And B, I think it's seen, unfortunately, as a bit of a sign of desperation at this point.
And so that makes investors nervous? They're
just throwing everything against the wall, and it's like, hey, things really must be pretty bad if they're cutting interest rates that much. So it's actually a negative signal in the short run. In the long run, if things settle down, it'll be very positive for economic growth. But in the short run, it's seen as a sort of a move of desperation.
So if you back up a little bit, the jobs report for February, the U.S. added like
270,000 new jobs. Is fantastic. The U.S. economy up until now has been very strong, very robust. And that's, I think, what everybody was banking on. Hey, we have a very strong economy.
So this wouldn't hurt too bad.
Well, that we'd get through it.
Right.
We could absorb the short-term shocks. But now, just everywhere you look, businesses are either being forced to close down, like the casino here, or just closing down because they know they won't have any customers. And then people are laid off, can't spend the money, so more people are laid off, and you start that hideous, vicious circle that happens when the economy takes a nosedive.
So I know that that Congress is enacting or working on right now a stimulus package. How much do you think that will help kind of calm things and turn things around?
Well, I don't think it's going to help much in the short run. Obviously, it's a good thing, and the government does have a responsibility to try to manage this situation, but right at the moment, it seems to have gotten ahead of them and a little bit out of control, I'm afraid. These are all things that will help, but they won't deal with the underlying problem, which is if people aren't working, the economy just grinds down.
Italy obviously was ahead of us on this, and when you were in a few weeks ago, the numbers were much lower. We're close to 25,000 cases in Italy, and essentially everything is shut down. You look at the Vatican, everything is shut down, churches, restaurants. They're obviously in a much different situation, although people look at that and say, oh my gosh, look at how much a week or two has changed things there. Talk a little bit about Italy just really being, and Europe in general, general, just their economic situation and being so close to a global recession?
Well, they really have become the epicenter. It's moved from China and Asia to Europe, and I think that's one of the things that got people's attention here. Look, it's one thing to have this in China, and the Chinese health system and the way of doing things is very different, and we can sort of brush it off, but then it goes to Western Europe, which is a very advanced, developed economy with a very advanced healthcare system, and it's just overwhelmed them. And the same thing now in France and Spain, and looks like Germany. Will all be in the same situation. So these are sort of a wake-up call, I think, to officials here to say, hey, we don't want this curve to bunch up. We want to keep it flat. And in order to do that, we're going to take all these measures, even if maybe it's a little bit of overkill, but we'd rather be safe than sorry.
And when you look at what governors have done across the state, obviously Governor Baker here closing schools for 3 weeks, closing restaurants except for takeout services. Illinois has done something similar. Ohio, New York City has also done that with restaurants as well. I mean, that is their economy when you think about it.
Yeah, and let's face it, we live in primarily a service economy. Most people work in the services in one way or another. We depend on that, and that's the area that's hardest hit.
So when you look at travel, like obviously the travel stocks, any stocks involving the airlines, those are the ones taking the biggest hit. Is that where you would say policy would need to kind of focus on as far as bolstering those industries?
Well, I think those are the ones that will be dramatically impacted, but obviously, as you're saying, if things like bars, restaurants, entertainment, cinemas are closing down, there are a lot of people who just work in those businesses, and if they're not working, they're not going to be spending money, so that's going to have a knock-on effect on the entire economy, not just those obviously affected industries.
How long do you think it would take for this to go on in this current situation before we really get into trouble?
Well, I think most people feel that if we can keep it under control, and if previous history is any guide, a few months should be enough to get through it, and then things will begin to return to normal. And again, as I think the good news is, maybe you'll see a real snapback because of all these other factors: low interest rates, low oil prices, pent-up demand. So it could be a steep recession with a quick rebound afterward. I suppose that's what probably President Trump is hoping for: just get through this in the next couple of months, and then things pick up in the summer and run up toward the end of the year.